Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, hello, we meet again. You are a podcast listener. I applaud you. It's episode
Mike's Daily Podcast.
20,203 I hope for me and you that we're alive in 2032. We'll get through this COVID virus. You and I think we must do our best to get through it. I think we will. You and I working together.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
To not breathe on each other, to not look at each other, to stay away from each other and live in isolation.
Mike's
It's so funny
Daily
because in my
Podcast.
interesting radio world,
Yeah.
where I am bombarded by radio personalities, and I talked to this one guy who does radio. Now he's at home. He completely does his talk show from home. And I am not at home. I'm at Cafe Anyway. I'm in Podcaster Valley, Podcaster Valley 10. And the last place on earth. Cafe Anyway. So this guy, though, is doing his talk show from his house. And I thought, it's because, he's just being careful, shelter in place. No, this guy hasn't left his house in over a week. And he went to the store, had his gloves on, his face mask on. He took Clorox wipes with him and wiped down the cart that he was pushing. Like, he is full on hardcore about it. And meanwhile, you've got a conservative talk show host by the name of Dennis Prager who says, I don't like people have to wear face masks because you can't talk to each other. You can't be social. He's very high on the whole. People need to be social. They need to be themselves. They need to be human beings, because if you take that element out of society, then there is no society. It will fall apart and all that. But then at the same time, if everyone's sick and dies, there's no society either.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Yet, if we don't go out there and buy things and get the goods and services and whatnot, there'll be no economy and there'll be no society, and that will fall apart. So it's all a very fine line, isn't it? But it's so funny because I talked to this one. I've said on recent podcasts, we need to get the economy going again. We need to get out there, but be careful. And we need to put money into the system. And I need my dang toilet paper. That's right, Basil. Where's my toilet paper? Basil the boxer. Can I tell you, he's doing so much better now. We had a very scary moment a week ago where he did not look good. He did not look good, and somehow he has bounced back. So a big thank you to, God. Does God do that for dogs? I mean, that they're basically the same word. You just flip the letters around. So maybe God does have a thing for dogs because of the letter thing. And he created animals, all the birds and fish and the seas. It's in Genesis. So back to whatever happened with my story about helping the economy. And then I talked to this guy who is staying at home. He's very adamant about it. And he's like, I cannot go outside. Like, he is so fearful that if he goes outside, he will be sick in a matter of just days. I don't know. He's really paranoid. Or is he just being real careful? But my lovely lady friend pointed out, hey, he could die from something in his house. He could die with touching some electrical thing and getting shocked, or slipping in the bathtub, or eating something. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that can kill you. If you worry about all that, you'll never go outside or breathe or anything. So, yes, I know it's being cavalier, just going outside and pretending like nothing's going wrong. No, I'm not saying that. There is something going wrong in the world. There is COVID-19, and people are still getting sick from it. So we need to be careful. At the same time, we have to remember this economy thing. You know this. I'm just stating the obvious. That's what this podcast is about. Me stating the obvious and telling you stories that I heard on the way in to work today, which actually I found this out at work, and I'm very sad to hear that little Richard has died. He had such an ego, this guy. He was the self-proclaimed architect of rock and roll. But we can be inspired by people like these, because some of us who don't really, put our egos out there, and then everyone ignores us. We need to be a little bit more little Richard. At any rate, he did write songs that influenced other musicians, and Ringo Starr and Carole King, Cyndi Lauper, Billy Idol, all had something to say about him. I just remember in the 80s, he went like supernova. It was like as if someone said, hey, little Richard, you're not important anymore. And he said, the heck I'm not. And he was suddenly everywhere. He was on all these talk shows talking about how important he was, doing his woo thing. And then he ended up putting out a single that was attached to Down and Out in Beverly Hills with Nick Nolte. And was Richard Dreyfuss in that? Yeah, I think so. So he ends up having a song that I think I went out. Did I buy the single? I think I went and bought this single called, I think something like Great God Almighty, It's a Long Time Coming Home. I forget. I've been searching something or other. That was a song in the 80s. I know he did a music video for it. So I have even supported Little Richard and Rick Springfield. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast, and we're in Podcastro Valley, Mont today. I got Rick Springfield on the mind again. A week ago, last Friday, I was watching all these Rick Springfield videos, and the guy did so many music videos, and they were always, because he came from television and General Hospital, he was custom made for the MTV generation. Music videos were getting really popular then, so yes. Good old Rick Springfield. But Rick Springfield is still alive. In fact, he just put out a video to help with the whole coronavirus thing, and it's a song about sheltering in place and all that. I just love the people that say, don't go outside, don't leave home, that just like are adamant. A lot of celebrities, they say, don't go outside. Yet these guys, these women, these men that have a ton of money and these huge 13,000 square foot homes. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton just bought one of those in Encino because they're Encino man. I wonder if Brendan Fraser's going to live with them, or Pauly Shore. Encino man? No? Well, Sean Astin was in that too. God, why do I know that? Okay. So they have these beautiful, huge mansions, and they, huge media. They got movie theaters in their houses, and they're telling people stay at home in my crappy, like 500 square foot apartment or smaller. Maybe I live in a tiny house. Maybe I live in a teeny weeny house. I mean, at least I've got a backyard, but and the guy that I talked to that's afraid of going outside, he's got a beautiful, huge house and a big yard. And he just spends time there. But, like, what about the folks that are sick of being at home, that don't have the money, that gotta get money, that gotta make a buck? They're gonna go outside. Other states that aren't that have as big of coronavirus rates, they're gonna go outside. I mean, it just, I don't know. I think people have lost touch with reality. Well, they always lose touch with reality, but at the same time, come on. You got to be healthy. You got to walk your dog. Your dog's got to be healthy. You got to go outside and get some fresh air. Just stay away from people. Last night, I'm walking around Podcastro Valley, and up my street a little ways, there's about 6 couples, 6 families that got their folding chairs out, and they're sitting in front of their houses on the sidewalk. And they live on this cool street because the street sort of slopes down, and they get a nice view of Fairmont Ridge and most of Podcastro Valley. And they're all talking to each other, kind of shouting across the street, keeping their distance, but having a good night, maybe drinking some beverages. It was beautiful. I stopped by, I said hi. And it's funny because they took up the sidewalk, so you had to basically walk down the street in front of them, and it almost felt like you were your own personal parade for them. I'm a parade. I'm walking down your street. I'm Mike Matthews. Hello. And I knew one of the couples because they used to see me when I walked Basil back when he could walk. And I knew their dog Fritz. So we talked for a little bit. We are learning a lot, aren't we, from this coronavirus thing? We will never be the same. I'm just saying this is not, there are going to be people like the guy I know who sheltered in his house who is never going to be the same. He's never going to go outside of his house without a mask, ever again. Even if they find a vaccine, which they will, for coronavirus, he will not ever trust society again. He is, from now on, a germphobe. We are creating a world of Howie Mandel's and John Tesh's, notable germphobes, and they are going to be in gloves and face masks forever. Get used to it. I almost want to move back to Alabama because I lived kind of out in the country. I want to move back there because I'm getting sick of the hysteria. And this guy can be top number one poster child for hysteria and hystericals. So I just worry about that. And you know what? Just get used to when you go to the city, from now on, you're always going to see people in masks and gloves, which, never mind. Well, one of the things that video that I was talking about last show, that's completely full of myths. That's why we call it the last show myths. Medical myths, is that gloves can pick up a particular virus, and you can eventually get that virus if you have the gloves on. They will eventually, like, you could, it's in other words not a complete shield for you. Face masks can help, but of course they aren't 100%. But it is something, we're taking a step in the right direction, I think, and just being careful. But from now, what I'm saying is, after all of this, that guy and others are still going to always be in this medical mode where they're going to have masks and gloves forever. And I want to buy stock in masks and glove makers. Gosh, because there's going to be people consuming those. It is the new normal. Don't you hate that expression? Have you heard that enough? The new normal. But that's what it is anyway. Cafe anyway. I'm just saying, it is a new world. And I think we got to keep our heads, and we'll have more information. And hopefully there'll be more airtight information, more Fauci-esque information that's actually based in hard facts, and that we can move forward in our world. But the podcast picture today is from a different time. 9 years ago, I was on a nice walk with Basil the Boxer, and we were over there in Bay Farm Island, also known as what's it called? Harbor Bay Isle, something like that. It's over near Alameda, and there's all these houses on the water, and you can see that picture with their cool little docks and all the neat colors at mikesdailypodcast.com, although the water looks a little weird, but see that now. And we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Let's say hi to some people. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Oh my God, so I don't have any gloves or masks in the gift shop right now. But the gift shop is back open. Oh, wow, it's back open. That's right, Mike Matthews. The gift shop at Cafe Anyway is open. So come on in and buy stuff and keep me in business. Okay, excellent. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I hear that there are people in Colorado that are getting help from the Lumineers. Yes, the Lumineers, that band. Along with, who's the other band? Who are the other people that helped him? I think Jewel and maybe One Republic as well. They are helping out people in Colorado they think they did an online fundraiser performance, and they raised money for people that work in the restaurant industry in Colorado who are, they're not making any money now, or very little money, so it's to help them out. That's awesome. That's some good news. Okay. Well, I don't know. Cafe, anyway, that's pretty much where we're going to end the show today is, what do you think? 336MM Daily. Help us out with your thoughts. 3 + 3 = 6 MM as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast has been now for a couple days. And you can also listen to me tomorrow morning. I'll be on from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., 4 p.m., somewhere around there. Listen at kkdv.com. There's a link at mikesdailypodcast.com. I'll be playing some good music and having more interesting stories about how musicians, singers, celebrities are dealing with the coronavirus. But to say just stay home, come on. That's ridiculous. You got to get out and see the people. Breathe some fresh air. Listen to the birds tweet. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!